Kazakhstan established and developed relationships with more than 140 countries worldwide. The country is a member of over 60 international organizations. Kazakhstan is an open and friendly partner, the initiator of the various integration processes in the world community, always ready to create the conditions for global dialogue. Within the framework of the exhibition Expo 2017, in Astana, the Kazakh-Austrian Day of Sustainable Technologies was held. Renewable energy sources and smart cities are the two main directions in which seminars and discussions were held. The event was attended by representatives of the Trade Department of the Austrian Embassy in Kazakhstan, the Federal Ministry of Transport, Innovation and Technology of the Republic of Austria, the Ministry of Energy of Kazakhstan, the national company Astana Innovations, as well as the delegations of Austrian and Kazakh businessmen and specialists in the field of renewable energy and urban planning.
Our generations before us, ancient people, was used to use the energy they had at any point in time in a different way. This goes back hundreds of years. At some point we forgot about it and started burning oil and gas only. I think we need to come back, and I'm not saying we can and we have the technology today to replace it completely, but we should use our resources in the best possible way. If you have water, we should use hydro energy. If you have good wind resources like in Kazakhstan, we should use those wind resources. If we have a lot of solar radiation, it is a shame of wasting and not using this energy.
After the welcoming speech of Michael Müller, trade advisor and head of the commercial department of the Austrian Embassy, the first deputy Akim of Astana, Sergei Horoshun, made a report on the development of the capital infrastructure. The main emphasis was made on the transformation of the capital into a smart city through intellectual systems that are actively introduced in Astana, as well as the construction of smart buildings and even the whole so-called green quarters. By the way, at the moment, there are about 50 Austrian companies with their subsidiaries and representative offices in Kazakhstan. Some of them are involved in the construction of energy-efficient houses in the capital.
We are installing a battery there, quite a large battery, in order to be confident that we can have enough electric energy, even when there's no sun or little sun. And we are, as there is a small village planned to be built, so with a number of private houses, we are also seeing whether it would make sense to install some sort of a wind energy converter to also harness the wind, which is a common source of energy around here.
Currently, the amount of the project for the construction of a single private house is 25,000 euros. At the same time, it is planned that by the end of the year, another 4 houses will be built, and by the next year, 100 private houses will be built.
Lucky coincidence to have a real project as well, not only exploring the market, but rather see whether we can get local sourcing, find partners which produce solar photovoltaic panels, how to deal with customs and import and things like this. So we have we've been here for 2 weeks now, and we've gained very much insight into these technical tasks. So we're very confident to scale up our projects for the future.
At the moment, in the market of Kazakhstan, there are many opportunities for the introduction of green technologies in construction projects, admit the representatives of the Austrian company. This significantly increases the share of Kazakhstan content in the project. This is not the only example of the already well-established cooperation between Kazakhstan and Austria in the energy sector. Last year, an agreement was signed between the two countries on interaction and exchange of knowledge in the field of renewable energy. Meanwhile, the European country has extensive experience and many years of experience in the energy sector.
Also erstens, ich habe einen Home Trainer, ein Fahrrad, bei dem ich jeden Tag trainiere. Ich bin sehr sportlich.
Meanwhile, the European country has many years of experience in the energy sector. So today, 1/3 of all energy and 2/3 of electricity in Austria are from renewable sources. The country achieved similar results not only thanks to high technologies, but also care for the environment and the culture of energy saving.
Das sind kleine persönliche Beiträge, die jede und jeder von uns, egal wo auf der Welt, beitragen kann, weltweit den Energiehaushalt zu minimieren.
The forum was attended by representatives of the Kazakhstan energy sector. In their opinion, Kazakhstan has a great potential of solar energy, mainly in southern regions. On average, the sun shines 300 days a year here. The development of other alternative energy sources is also quite promising.
Қазақстан елі кіші өзендерге өте бай. Осы кіші өзендерге кіші гидроэлектр станциясын құратын болсақ, көптеген
Kazakhstan is rich in small rivers. If we use this potential for the installation of small hydroelectric plants, we can count on the production of a large amount of clean energy. In order to borrow experience from Austria and introduce the newest technologies in the field of generation of green electricity, thermal energy based on alternative sources like the water of the sun, we learned at this forum.
Осыны бүгін кездесіп, сол бизнес қауыммен біздің елге ендіру мәселесін қолға алатын боламыз.
Within the framework of seminars, roundtables, and business meetings, the forum participants discussed the main initiatives and solutions, including the development of the capital infrastructure. Being one of the 10 most smart cities in the world, Vienna is today the embodiment of the Austrian policy on energy security. And the International Expo exhibition is an excellent platform for demonstrating results and searching for new solutions.
In the renewable energy business for more than 20 years myself, to see how Kazakhstan, a country which has a lot of resources in oil and gas, is taking the effort and develop renewable energy. And I think we also know Kazakhstan is more than looking for the home market itself. It's a hub for the region, and if we can implement something successfully in Kazakhstan, this might be also an initial step for neighboring countries.
The program of the Kazakh-Austrian Day of Sustainable Technologies was continued by the delegation's visit to the exhibition site of a large-scale exposition. Expo 2017, by the way, best demonstrates cooperation between the two states. So the zone of best practices at the exhibition site contains 3 Austrian projects in hydro and solar energy.
I'm also very pleased that Austrian know-how is present elsewhere on the Expo. An Austrian company was responsible for the complex calculations for the Kazakh pavilion, the Sphere. The Sphere is covered with 380 custom-made solar panels of an Austrian company. In total, 1,500 square meters of photovoltaic panels produce energy for the whole building. And another Austrian company supplies the whole Expo village with water via 1.5 kilometers of their pipes.
On the eve of the National Day of Austria, the Austrian Business Forum was held, within the framework of which joint projects with Kazakhstan were discussed. And although the concrete results of the talks have not yet been announced, the representatives of the Austrian side plan to receive interim results within 6 months. We organized such a conference for the Austrian and managers who work in the CIS region. Yes, we have assembled here directors of many companies from Austria, Kazakhstan, the Russian Federation, and other Central Asian countries. The main goal was not a bilateral forum, but more discussion led by experts as we move forward. What is the economic growth in Kazakhstan, in its regions? What are the factors of growth? For example, the Silk Road. How to work in the conditions of the EU. Therefore, all issues were discussed, together with business leaders and international experts. For today, exports from Kazakhstan to the European Republic are made up by 98% of oil, and imports from Austria are mainly pharmaceutical products and medical products. As the investment climate in the country develops, there are more representatives of Austrian companies in the regional market. They told why it is comfortable to work in Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan is the largest partner, business partner for Austrian business
in Central Asia, and it's also one of the first partners which have been established. 25 years ago, the political relations have been established between Kazakhstan and Austria, and for Austria, Kazakhstan was the first country in Central Asia we established, and also the language, Russian, is familiar to us Austrians. We have a long-standing relation to Russia. So it was a natural move.
According to Austrian businessmen, an agreement was signed on cooperation in investment projects with the national company Kazakh Invest. Details of the arrangements are not yet disclosed, as the Austrian side is confident that a successful business does not tolerate publicity. However, the circle of interests of foreign businessmen is already defined.
We have certain expectations towards the Silk Road development. Of particular interest should be what we can potentially do in Horgos. It's an area of interest for us. Other than that, we are following our clients here into the Kazakh market with our standard product portfolio, which covers basically all means of international logistics services: air cargo, rail freight, land transportation, distribution, logistics services.
Celebration of the National Day was continued by the choir of the boys of the St. Florian Monastery. Expo 2017 for all participating countries has become a platform for strengthening existing connections and creating new business ties. For example, Italy, throughout the exhibition period, has planned to present its regions and their main features.
Each region has a peculiar history in energy, because they developed in their history different. For example, Tuscany is famous for geothermal because it has a lot of geothermal sources. So as they told, it's more than 1 century that we are exploiting that. Our regions like Sicily or Puglia in the south are rich in solar energy. So we are developing that. The north of Italy is rich in hydropower. So already in the 60s, 70s, many dams and a lot of hydropower. So let's say our choice was to involve the region because of that, because we don't have a unique energy policy.
In total, there are 20 provinces in Italy. 15 of them will participate in the Expo until the end of the exhibition. It is noteworthy that in the pavilion of the European country, there is a zone for demonstrating the main achievements of the regions. And each time the content of this section is updated. For example, 3 regions, Marche, Tuscany, and Umbria, presented an exhibition of art pottery.
Nella regione toscana sono nati non solo, anche in altre, però è nato il Rinascimento e abbiamo avuto tra i più
In Tuscany, the Renaissance itself was born, and the artists who lived in Tuscany passed on their ability to create to further generations, helped to develop the energy sector of our region. To give an example, I will say that the first light bulb on the basis of geothermal energy was released in Tuscany in 1904. It was the first experiment, and the first geothermal station appeared in 1913 in the city of Alberobello.
La prima stazione per la produzione di energia geotermica del mondo è stata installata in Toscana nel 1913.
Another region of the Apennine Peninsula, Marche, is famous not only for its resorts, developed business activities, and rich export potential, but also for innovative technologies.
La Regione Marche punta sulle energie da fonte rinnovabile nella produzione, ma anche nella riduzione di...
Our region relies on the use of renewable energy sources, but also on reducing energy consumption. We erect well energy-efficient buildings. By 2020, we plan to exceed and reach 25.6% of the use of alternative energy. This is our government-approved plan.
Da fonte rinnovabile al 25,6%. Questo prevede il nostro piano, approvato.
The third region at the presentation in the Italian pavilion is Umbria.
Noi, al pari delle altre regioni,
Our regions are investing in this topic, and this is not done in order to find some understanding among citizens and to improve our popularity, but because these topics are very relevant and important. Umbria region, as you will see in the next days, and as already proved, made a very large contribution to this area with the help of their universities.
Ha investito moltissimo su questo campo.
These three regions have united for a general presentation within the Italian exposition because they share common goals, territorial cohesion, social integration, and environmental sustainability. Another delegation at Expo 2017 presented the most eastern region of Italy, called Apulia. The province takes the leading position on the use of renewable energy sources. Representatives of the delegation held a seminar on smart technologies for intelligent energy sources.
We are the second region in Italy for the energy production. We are a big exporter of electrical energy in other regions. The second region in Italy after the Lombardia, that is the more economically developed region in Italy. So half of our energy is exported. But the most important things in this context is that we produce a lot of renewable energy, and we added renewable energy in the beginning of the 2000, and then we grow very fastly in the last years.
In total, 30% of the region's total electricity is produced from renewable sources.
The associates are very spread out, so there are 300 enterprises active in the field, and they are professional and small business enterprises, also big companies. There are 13 local public authorities and associations and 9 universities. The main are the Apulian ones, and 10,000 direct and indirect workers working in the field of energy production. Opportunities are very wide in Apulia because it is sunny and windy. We saw it, and agriculture is a main program.
The Italian delegates are impressed by the exhibition and the relevance of the expo.
Molto bello l'allestimento della fiera, molto bello, la sfera è splendida.
First of all, the architecture and equipment of the exhibition impressed the central sphere, and the city of Astana itself looks unusual. It represents a kind of energy and approaches the theme of the exhibition. In general, it is very bold to take the topic of energy for Kazakhstan, with all the traditional sources of energy it has. You have a fairly large territory, and we have a small country, but we have a great deal of experience and opportunities for further cooperation with you.
Capacità e qualità che possiamo confrontare e scambiare.
According to Ambassador of Italy to Kazakhstan, Mr. Ravanian, the idea of the presentation of the country pavilion for each visitor is to show the history of the Italians, their vision of the issue of energy resources.
Platform means it's an occasion for meeting, so not only experts, but normal people to get curious, to talk about. This is the philosophy behind the pavilion, which is, or at least we try to do something relaxing, not to have a visitor bombed with images, things, but to get there because we know what an expo and how tiring it could be. So to be relaxed, at the same time to meet our normal people, no? So we have some screens with interviews to pensioners, retired people, housewives, normal people talking about energy as such. So the immediate idea, not for experts, but for normal people.
Even though Italy does not have a large territory and accordingly rich natural resources, The country, through trial and error, is looking for ways to generate sustainable energy and is ready to share its experience with other countries.